Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning to all of you. Thank you so much for your watching this video. And today I will talking about line C, one of the components of external factors behind foreign policy decision making. So this is a basic understanding of foreign policy that I have mentioned every meetings before. This is the easy sample how to understand foreign policy, and this is line C, the second component of external factors. Before we continue the next meeting, I think we will examine how regionalism and interdependence. Okay, what is the significance of the line C? Okay, this is one of the components of foreign policy decision making process that's very significant, because to achieve a national interest, we have to create strategies to achieve foreign national interest. So one of these is a foreign alliance. Okay, as the state tend to achieve national interest through some ways, and alliance is one of the many ways. So according to David and Mikota and Miller, alliance is tools, the main components to protect and to achieve national security, as well as international relations. So according to these scholars, alliance is one of the main components to protect the countries from external threats. Okay, alliance is basically hugely influenced by realism. So when we're talking about alliance, usually in our mind tend to imagine that alliance is some military cooperation. Yes, this is commonly used for military alliance, but how the alliance implement in some areas, I think this is quite interesting. Okay, for alliance, this is close to a military alliance, which is an international agreement concerning national security in which contracting parties agree to mutual cooperation, mutual protection, especially in case of crisis. I have underscored this, that in case of crisis. This means that this alliance work if there is some crisis happen, like if suddenly we attacked by another country. So we have if we have a alliance with certain countries, this alliance will work and to protect and to do a specific action, especially military action, to protect, to defend security, sovereignty. And this is usually a long-term organization, long-term cooperation. So alliance mainly being created for long-term process. So like when we talking about military alliance, this is clear when we refer to situation during the Cold War, when Soviet Union have Pakta Warsaw, then United States and allies have NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So just this is the contracting party. So among the members agree to cooperate to protect each other during or in case of crisis. If there is no crisis, I think the cooperation is not fully work. Okay, in contrast, this is the contradiction of military alliance. We have a military coalition. Coalition means that this occur as unplanned replay for a crisis. So in the dangerous situation, and this is unplanned situation, so countries can suddenly have a temporary cooperation, temporary relations among military in case of danger. This is a non-permanent integration, so this is not permanent and could dismissed as they want. So we have to differentiate between military alliance and military coalition. Alliance is long-term and work in case of crisis, but for military coalition, this is unplanned situation. Okay, and this is not permanent, and if the crisis is ended, so the coalition could be ended also. This is short term, and everything rely on the members. Okay, this is the illustration of alliance. Okay, alliance is is divided at least three concepts. Okay, this is defense pact like NATO, Warsaw, and maybe if ASEAN have like ASEAN security pact, but there's no security pact in ASEAN, and the type is non-aggression pact. So this is basically to defend in case of crisis. Okay, and entities is the coalition usually among one or two or three members of this, like German, French entities, and entities is basically came from French words. So this is the typology of alliance. Okay, the next is coalition, where this is a short-term cooperation. As we know, coalitions like coalition in our parliament, Koalisi Indonesia Hebat, Koalisi Merah Putih, this is also coalition, but inside the government. And in terms of IR, I think the BRICS is one of easy example. This is coalition because this is it's not permanent and incidental event. BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and IBSA is India, Brazil, or South Africa. And coalition also occur in economics, like Apple and Microsoft coalition, in the civil society like labor organization, and in the military, of course, like Operation of Desert Storm in the Cold War. I think this is among U.S. allied forces, U.S., German, England, Australia also involved in this coalition. This is dismissed after Desert Storm operation. Okay, in the context of international relations, usually alliance belong or rely on on specific major power. And the experience of Indonesia and Malaysia, the external power like US or Soviet Union is very influenced on both countries' foreign policy decision making. And in the changing, if situation is changing because of the lack involvement of major power, of course this will influence also the security, national security of the countries. Okay, looking at the Indonesia and Malaysia hugely rely on the major power. Victor Dicha introduced the concept that this is a quasi-alliance. Indonesia and Malaysia is quasi-alliance. What is quasi-alliance? Quasi-alliance is both two countries that's no specific military alliance, but similar protector, similar alliance. Indonesia is close to the US, Malaysia is close to the US. So US as the patron of Indonesia and Malaysia in terms of security protection. According to Stephen Walt, there are two types of coalition or alliance. How the countries response to the international situation. They have two options. One is going to balance, and the second is follow one of major powers. So if a state facing international pressure, the option is two. One if is balancing, means fighting, and the second is following, or in IR we identify as bandwagoning. Okay, but in the realities, the state will prefer to ally with strongest power. So this means that bandwagoning tend to be popular among the countries rather than balancing, because balancing is very risky. Let's say if we balance against US, this is dangerous. If we balance against British or Russia, this is also dangerous. Balance against China, this is dangerous. So there is no options except we have to follow, or we can modify our strategy not to balance or not to follow totally. We will discuss in the next slide. Okay, according to Tony Roy, in the context of Southeast Asia, the contemporary era, both terms, balancing and bandwagoning, implement with some modification, because we in Southeast Asia is classified as middle power. So we have some choices, not only bandwagoning but and also bandwagoning, but also we have two alternatives, namely hedging, and the second is engagement. But in the practice ways, because of the international geopolitics, in the middle of China, Russia, and other major powers, and we refer in the previous slides, we in the era of multipolarity. So the strategy among countries in Southeast Asia is low level of balancing. Low level of balancing means try to take an opportunity but not to be totally followed, because uh, uh, okay, major powers is sometimes have bad things, but there are also many opportunities like investment, like economy, like maybe a defense agreement. And in the multipolarity is, of course, the most powerful countries is the US, but China, like country like China, Russia have also opportunity to offer some benefits to countries like Indonesia. So we don't want to balance totally, but not to follow totally also. We have to balance this kind of situation. Okay, Ralph Emmers defined that countries like Singapore, Philippines, Thailand, and some extent like Brunei, Malaysia, Indonesia. So US is protecting power. This is quite interesting because maybe China is enemy of the US, but sometimes the countries also look that China is opportunities. So they don't want to balance against the US, because the US is still regional hegemony, but China is also welcome because they have money. So this is one of the strategies how to face international situation, especially in terms of a coalition. Okay, I will just take one more example how countries like Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei, and Australia, New Zealand, they have alliance called as five powers arrangement. This is quite interesting because this is a long-term cooperation, and this military cooperation will effectively work in case of crisis or war. Let's see, if Malaysia or Singapore attacked by Indonesia, of course, these five power arrangements will consolidate and will protect one of the members. For example, Malaysia will protect by five powers defense arrangement. So this is quite interesting. Even ASEAN is maybe free from military nuclear weapons, but inside the ASEAN, I believe that there are many military cooperation, long-term cooperation in case of emergency of war, like five powers defense arrangement between Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei, Australia, and New Zealand. Of course, this is all are Commonwealth colonies, former British colonies. Okay, in the case of war on terror, for instance, Indonesia did not want to openly support war on terror because this is a sensitive one. Because Indonesia did want to disappointing Muslim community, Muslim majority, and just say publicly that US is not ally, but a brave and equal partner. And even the US is quote unquote is ally of Indonesia, or Indonesia is ally of the US. And because of this statement, US is not ally, but a brave and equal partner. This is in fact Indonesia's support to war on terror. In turn, Indonesia got 157.7 billion US dollar in the forms of military cooperation, military embargo lifted, and also the creation of US Indonesia security dialogue, including this aid, also the creation of Densus 88 counterterrorism force under Indonesian Police Department during Kolim Power visit to Jakarta in 2002, soon after 9/11. So this is one of easy example how countries should respond to international coalition. So military coalition is also very influenced during foreign policy decision making, because when the pressure is high, of course, countries should follow or balance or low balance level. This is based on how the countries measure in the situation of geopolitics. So geopolitics is very influence factor, and another side is also alliance is also important factors. Okay, I think that's all my presentation. Thank you for your watching. Don't forget to write your student ID in the comments. So thank you so much, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.